we've got, I swear to flip, dude, this is what it says. Powder Emperor. I don't know if that's a joke or a thing or a bit or a screen name. I have no context for any of this. Pronouns he, him, calling in from the US of A, who says evolution is quackery. Let's talk to you. Do I call you Powder or Emperor, or do you have a different name? You go either way. You're on the line with Forrest and Aaron.
Yeah, either way is fine. No problem. Either way is fine. Happy Sabbath. How are you guys doing today?
Is it Sabbath? I thought it was Sunday.
It is the Sabbath.
Oh, there's a snow cone shop. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a snow cone shop in my hometown that celebrates the Sabbath, and it's always Saturday.
Yeah, that's the certain small hat community.
They're doing the wrong thing because they are interpreting the exact same book in a different way.
No.
I'm curious to know.
They're just interpreting history incorrectly, like many people.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs to know it exactly the way that you do it.
You just have to have a logical progression, logical deduction and progression. Not hard.
Weird start, but like we'll just jump into the meat of it to see what's going on. You say evolution is quackery. What do you mean specifically? Do you have a particular thing you don't like about it, or is it all of it? Like, what are you coming from?
Well, it's just an impossibility, and it's like talking to a cult member if you think you're talking to someone. I mean, do we get into the actual mathematics of it? Do we get into the biology of it? Where would you like to begin?
I'm happy to get into the biology of it.
Evolution.
That was going to be my first question. Yes.
What is evolution?
Well, yeah, first evolution. Okay. Well, there is no connection between Precambrian and Postcambrian life forms, correct?
No. Back it up.
That's not what we asked.
What is evolution?
It's incremental. It's the theory that incremental small changes lead to new organisms over time. Random small incremental changes.
I'd take that. That's not the definition, but it's good enough to understand what we're talking about. We can work with that.
Yeah, random small mutation of codons trying to create amino acids, correct?
Not necessarily. So there's different things. What you're talking about there is so the actual definition of evolution is any change in the heritable characteristics of a population over the course of multiple generations. And the reason why it's important to make that distinction is because
that's not the definition that Darwin used, though. That's this new whatever. New age evolution.
Right. So just to be clear, two things.
Was not talking about codons. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say two things.
Random incremental changes of an organism which lead to a new organism. That's what he spoke of.
So what you need to understand is that Darwin was just the first guy to publish a major text about evolution. Evolution was already an idea that was way, way, way before Darwin. And since Darwin, we've had about 200 years of development on the idea about evolution. So it's not exactly like Darwin said this and therefore we go forward with it. Also, Darwin didn't ever say anything about codons or DNA because he didn't know those things existed. And so, he didn't know about genetics in general. He didn't know about heredity because Mendel was publishing his Mendel, I'm going to finish this sentence if it kills you. Mendel was publishing his work on heredity at the same time as Darwin, and Darwin never read Mendel's papers.
Mendel was a Catholic.
Yes, that does.
Yeah,
and tell me exactly how that matters.
Someone who directly contradicts what you're trying to presuppose. Now,
not at all.
If we want to get
Newton
into it,
was also, hold on there. Wait a second. Newton was also a Christian. And so Newton was a Christian. He was very clearly Christian and referenced it several times. Also, most of the stars in the night sky are have Arabic names because Muslims were the ones who invented algebra, who invented algorithms, who did a lot of astronomy. So the religion of a person who makes a discovery doesn't really influence whether or not the discovery is true or not.
No, but the idea of deductive logic.
So Mendel being a Catholic, you're going to have to stop interrupting.
I know you're going to postulate.
I'm going to put you on mute because you cannot stop interrupting. Mendel being a Catholic doesn't change anything, and it doesn't mean anything for this conversation. Him directly contradicting Darwin by his Catholicism doesn't mean anything because Darwin wasn't expressly anti-Catholic either at any particular point that I know of. And even if they were, that would be a different conversation entirely. The point is, Mendel was publishing his work on heredity at the same time that Darwin was publishing his work on natural selection. They didn't know about each other. Then that's fine. The fact is that now we've blended these ideas to develop a new idea called neo-Darwinism, because Darwin got some stuff right and he got some stuff wrong. He was a guy 200 years ago, just like every other scientist. There's some stuff right and there's some stuff wrong. So with Darwin's ideas and Mendel's ideas combined, we have neo-Darwinian evolution, which is the mutation selection hypothesis that you seem to be oversimplifying by saying random changes to codons making new organisms. That's not exactly what it is, but mutating DNA and then producing a new slight variation on a species, and then that experiencing selection pressures in its environment, and eventually over a long time producing a new species entirely. That's neo-Darwinian evolution. That is one dimension of evolution. There's a lot more to evolution than that. There are other mechanisms that come into play here. So again, that's why it's so important for us to define what we mean by evolution. And that's why the definition that I gave you is not just some new age workaround. That's what it is. It is any change in the heritable characteristics of a population over the course of multiple generations. And that includes DNA, it includes epigenetics, it includes developmental pathways, it includes gene regulatory networks, it includes microbiomes. Like there's a ton that goes into that. So now we will bring you back. Just out of curiosity, is this imperious? Like, it sounds like it's imperious.
That was a long-winded amount of norepinephrine mania. That's insane.
No, that was just science.
Masturbatory right there, if I've ever heard it. That's a lot of coke.
I just gave you the definition of a word because you refused to accept the definition.
No, sir, that's called norepinephrine. Sir, you just rambled from your mania.
You're trying to say norepinephrine?
Because you want to pontificate like a religious person, but you say you're not religious. You don't sit here like an
I put you on mute.
You sit and try to mute people because you're scared.
On mute.
Yeah,
I put you on mute because you could not stop interrupting. See, here's the issue.
Because you ramble for 20 minutes. You ramble.
So you don't even know how to count. That wasn't even 20 minutes.
Mania.
Is it hyperbole or is it
mania,
serious?
sir? It's mania, sir. Control yourself.
I put you on mute
medication.
because it's weird that you tell me to control myself when you literally can't get your emotions in check long enough to quit arguing and interrupting when I'm trying to give you the definition of the word that I study. I'm a biologist. I know about this stuff. I do it for a living, and you have misdefined it and misunderstood it. And I'm trying to give you the definition, and you cannot stop interrupting me and getting your emotions up out of control. Even just now, you're sitting here raising your voice, accusing me of being mentally ill and maniac and all sorts of things. Just if you can't have an adult conversation, then I don't know why you're calling in. Besides the fact that this is almost certainly just somebody named Imperius who did the exact same shit a whole bunch of times, got banned for being a child, and now you're doing some weird workaround. That's what it sounds like to me, is that this is an ego trip for you.
Again, is this just more rambling, self-masturbatory, or is this like a discussion? Because a discussion isn't muting people when you're afraid of the answers.
I wasn't afraid of the answer. You literally would not stop interrupting long enough for us to have this conversation.
If you were a biologist, you know what norepinephrine is. What is mania?
It's pronounced.
What is mania?
It's pronounced
you
norepinephrine.
ramble for 30 minutes. Norepinephrine is a medication, sir. Norepinephrine is the actual neurological chemical. You need to read up on your biology.
The neurological chemical.
A lawyer knows more about biology than you do. It's funny. Now,
that's
if you'd
a
like to have
bizarre
a
claim
discussion,
to
why don't
make.
you have a good faith discussion? Let's have a good faith discussion and let people go back and
here's
forth.
The thing.
Instead of
I would
scared.
be more than happy. I'm just going to mute him again because he can't control himself. See, here's the thing. You keep thinking that I'm afraid of you when I'm muting you. I'm muting you because you cannot stop interrupting. Like, if you're just here to just throw around a bunch of hate and claim that I'm afraid of you. But here's the thing that I need you to understand. And it's very important. During my undergrad, I did some research into biomedical science, and I did some work in human anatomy, and I dissected human cadavers during that time. Then I did independent field research, which I studied human evolution and specifically worked on evolution of bipedalism, and again worked in a cadaver lab dissecting humans. Then my second master's degree was in biomedical science, where I spent hundreds of hours, again, in cadaver labs working on dozens of cadavers, and sometimes also teaching medical students about those cadavers. And I say all this so you understand, I have hundreds of hours of experience dissecting human beings. And I'm letting you know all that so that you understand my full meaning here, that I really am not exaggerating when I say I am not afraid of you. I've skinned people scarier than you. I'm putting you on mute because you can't control your emotions and quit interrupting people and going off on these tangents where you whine and bitch about us going on tangents. By the way, this time here where I've muted you and explained this to you has not been 20 or 30 minutes. Learn to count, Imperius. I'll bring you back now. Do you have anything serious to say, or are you just going to complain some more?
Yeah, it's very easy. I'd like to respond to that. You know, I've done thousands and thousands of hours in court making arguments, and I know an insufficient argument when I see one, and that's what neo-Darwinism is. So if you want to play authority, I'm your authority, sir. So you make that argument.
To hear an argument.
No,
you've yet
the
to
argument,
hear one.
Sir.
You've just gone off on these tangents.
Sir, I've made the argument. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. You've sat there in every single reason, and you've gone on tangents about your education, which nobody cares about. I talked about the mathematics, and you ran away from it. You ran away from it, sir. Do you know what the idea that one amino acid can randomly form is? The mathematical chance of that happening, the random creation of an amino acid.
We see it in space.
To fit in one
blockchain in space.
It is 10 to the 77th power. Now you need 20.
The probability of amino acids forming naturally is 100%. Literally 100%, because we see them.
Now you're interrupting, and you're going to get scared because I can't mute you, right? You're going to jump in and because I can't mute you.
No,
right?
I can even help with this.
I can even completely false.
No, you can't help with anything. You've made incorrect arguments. You can't address the mathematics.
Hey, you're wrong.
You're very wrong. And the thing is, we have found over 500 amino acids. We have found over 500 amino acids all around nature. And we found several dozen amino acids out in outer space as well. You need 20 amino acids for life. So, or at least life on Earth as we know it requires about 20 amino acids.
The chance of any amino acid forming into a blockchain is 10 to the 77th power.
That's also not true. So when you say into
percent,
right, and when you say into a blockchain, what I'm assuming you mean
when a 20 choice codon goes into an amino acid, it is a 10 to the 77th over 1 odds of that happening.
Codons and amino acids.
And then on top of that, and then for every single block, you would have to make the observation and the mathematical calculation of every possible mutation of every possible life form on Earth that has ever been, which is 10 to the 40th power.
This is why you're a bad lawyer if this is how you argue. You should stick to law and not to mathematics or biology.
That's why I win, sir. That's why I win.
Because you shout over somebody else and accuse them of being scared of you?
Atheists don't win. You don't win. You keep losing. You can't hit the target.
Is this what now, Powder? Is this how you go and make an argument in front of the judge? You interrupt them and tell them they don't know the law.
And all you talk about is
this how it works?
And it sounds like you're a loser too, because you don't know how to make an argument. Congratulations!
You haven't answered a question. So let me ask you a question then.
The question presented.
You haven't given me a solid one. You've just been rambling.
Biology.
You haven't presented a serious argument yet.
That nobody cares about.
Do you know why I said that? No, I'm just curious. Do you know why I mentioned my
10 to the 77th? Very simple.
Do you know why I mentioned my education, Imperius?
Because nobody cares because you're trying to be big and bad when I have a superior education.
Because nobody cares is why I brought it up.
I have a doctorate. You need to bow down to me if you want to appeal to authority.
That's not what a Juris Doctorate means. A JD is different than a PhD. Anyway, the point is, I'm just going to mute you again if you don't do this. I just going to have to put you on mute again if you can't control yourself, dude. It's bad for the audience. Here's the thing. The reason why I brought up my education was to make a funny point about how silly you were being. See, that's the thing, is you clearly don't even have the cognitive ability to understand simple context clues and like how a show works. You've presented 2 bad arguments so far about evolution. One of them is mathematical, which didn't make any damn sense. The physicist with a doctorate is telling you it doesn't make any damn sense. And then the other one is to misrepresent how codons work and how amino acids work and ignore the fact that we find hundreds of different amino acids in space, out in nature, all around us all the time. Then we have experimental evidence showing showing that they self-assemble. We have experimental evidence showing that they self-elongate into polypeptides. They form chains together all by themselves. And none of that even gets into the details of what evolution is, because those are questions about abiogenesis, which isn't evolution. So you don't seem to understand what evolution actually is. You don't know how it works. And you're sitting here on this ridiculous high horse saying that because you have a JD and a master's in law that you understand better about what? Biology? That's a ridiculous. It's as silly as me saying that I'm a better lawyer than you because I have 2 master's degrees. That's a ridiculous thing to say. You are clearly still so far up your own emotional ass that you can't have a serious conversation with anybody. You just scream at them and try to insult them and say that they're going on tangents while you go on tangents. You're a bad lawyer and a bad interlocutor in shows like this, dude. Now, if you have a chance, I would love for you to actually define evolution and explain one real problem you have with actual evolution, and we'll talk about that. Otherwise, I don't think you're worth anybody's time.
Yeah, evolution is the small incremental changes of an organism to try to create a new organ, or which creates a new organism, the theory.
Wrong.
That's what evolution
Immediately
is.
wrong. Evolution doesn't apply to organisms.
You don't know man and women. You don't know what a man and a woman is, just like you don't know what evolution
you
is.
literally see, this is what I'm talking about. You're a terrible lawyer. How on earth could you be a good lawyer if you can't even stay on topic for one response?
Sir, it's about
evolution doesn't affect organisms.
Words is, sir. You don't know dicta.
Powder. I have to say, when it comes to your ways of arguing, if I may make an analogy here, Powder, your ability to argue about biology here in an analogy with law, you sound like a sovereign citizen. And you end up in jail with arguments that stupid and shitty. You are acting like you know biology in the same way a sovereign citizen thinks they know the Constitution and thinks that they have to be tried under maritime law. It makes you sound like a fucking idiot, and the difference is sovereign citizens end up going to jail because they're an idiot. You just get to look like an idiot on the internet, which is much less of a punishment.
It really is crazy that you're going to sit here and accuse us of going on tangents and stuff and being afraid of conversation when all I asked was, tell me what evolution is and what your problem is with it. You immediately got it wrong and said evolution is a change within organisms. No, it fucking isn't. Evolution affects populations, not individuals. Organisms don't evolve. That makes no sense. You don't know the first thing about the thing that you're arguing about. And then within the same breath, you went on saying liberals do these things. And then you threw in some transphobia. You don't know what a man and a woman is. Also, you are on such a fucking emotional tangent. You can't control yourself. It's sad. You are a terrible lawyer and a worse debater. Now, would you like to try again and tell me something that's actually true about evolution that we can talk about?
Like a coward. I know you're a coward and you mute people, but that's fine. That's fine.
Do you understand? No, again, do you know why I've muted you?
Run from
do you know why I've muted you?
Run from the argument. It's okay. I'm still listening. Run from the argument. Run from it.
You're clearly not listening.
Do you know?
Moral epistemology when you don't have a moral center. It's funny how you judge
that,
people
and that's
your moral
again,
or preference.
That's a different argument.
No, sir. That's
You've
what
made
you just accused me
10
of.
different arguments that none of them have to do with evolution.
You don't judge. You have no morals. You don't have morals to judge. No, I'm a bad.
You don't know anything about it.
Homophobia. Why is homophobia wrong? You can't explain it. It's just your preference. It's what makes you feel good.
See, this is what I mean, dude, is that you've got... I muted him again. See, this is what I'm talking about. What are we doing? You called in to complain about evolution. You've yet to identify what evolution is, and now you're talking about morals, and you're talking about homophobia, and you're talking about liberals, and you're talking about law, and you're talking about all this, and you've yet to say what fucking evolution is. What are you thinking, Aaron?
I have to change my analogy. I have to change my analogy. I compared him to a sovereign citizen. That's not fair. Sovereign citizens will at least stick with one argument, even though it's bad.
That is true. That is true. Man, for somebody who's going to sit here and accuse us of being afraid of an argument and running away from an argument, you fucking run away from a lot of discussions. I'll help you. I'll do the work for you. I'll do the big, hard thinking, right? Evolution is any change in the heritable characteristics of a population over the course of multiple generations. And it is testable and observable. We have several different lines of evidence pointing to it. And we also have observational evidence actually watching evolution happen, both in the laboratory and in the field. That is the prompt. Can you respond to that? Or are you going to continue to whine and bitch and moan and complain about the way the show is run and about how scared we are and about liberals? And are you going to run to the next thing about transphobia? Or can you answer what I just said? Evolution is testable and observable. Go, Imperious.
I refute the definition presented. Very simple. And let's argue it.
Okay, then you disagree with what a thing is. Who gives a shit?
Simple. Okay,
that is the definition from evolutionary biology textbooks.
You don't know how to argue, sir. Define the argument parameters. Define the argument parameters before you can have an argument.
I'll make it even simpler. I'll make it really, really, really simple.
You want to define the biggest goalpost of data sets to help fit your narrative. Very simple. I understand.
I will make it simple and I'll lay out the argument.
Which is seen in the Stanford studies, which is Harvard accepts, to your own study.
I will give you the simple explanation. I'm literally quoting this. I'm quoting the definition from the textbooks, but it's easy.
I could quote the Harvard research study on what evolution is.
Oh, goodness.
Harvard biology. I could card Yale biology.
Go ahead.
Any kind of science.
Do it.
Okay.
Do it. This is, quote the Harvard study on definition. Give me the Harvard definition of evolution.
Very simple. Descent of modification starting in the origin of species is the mathematization of Darwin evolutionary theory, presenting that small incremental changes over time present a theory of the origin of species.
Yes, the origin of species.
You stupid son of a bitch.
That is
so you can
one
make
way
your
of
own
saying
definition up if you want, and we can argue your own theoretical model synthesis.
Imperious, you just said the same thing that I said in different words.
No, I didn't.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Changes in an organism. You are saying changes.
You did not say the word organism. Jade, you did not say the word organism in that definition.
Genetic changes.
You didn't say the word organism in that definition. Imperious, you can't read. The definition you just gave didn't say organism.
Yes, it did. Origin of species. What is a species?
That's not organism. Organism and species are different things.
Of the contemporary. Okay, so what is?
I've got to mute him again because he's just screaming. He's just, what's killing me is this dude is in his house. I just want to just take this out of just for a second. This dude is in his house right now, actually red-faced screaming into his phone that species and organism are the same thing. And that's why he knows biology better than me. Dude,
again, you just bring us back to the analogy of the sovereign citizen who says, I will not be represented, I will not be represented. You clearly are not understanding what words mean and making such obvious mistakes from the get-go that you don't even know how wrong you are. There's like Dunning-Kruger, and then there's Dunning-Kruger on the sort of powder that must be snorted to get to this level of erroneousness and confidence.
That's why he's Powder Emperor, because he snorted so much of the powder. Oh man, Imperious, I'm going to bring you back. Can you please tell me the definition, or no, not even the definition. Tell me the difference between the word organism and the word species.
Yeah, an organism is one individual. A species is a group of individuals. I'll give you a similar definition. John Endler. What did John Endler
That's good
call
enough.
It? Hold on. What did John
That's
Endler
good enough.
call it? Any changes in the frequency of alleles within an organism in relation from one generation of a species to the next. You're stupid. Your own side. You don't even have a definition of your own side.
It's pronounced alleles. And also, yes, the alleles.
Your own leading
the alleles are within the organism. The alleles are within the organism. You're getting it wrong again.
An organism, correct? We're talking about an organism.
No, that's not how it works.
An allele within an organism. An allele within an organism. What is an allele within an organism? Please explain that. What is within an organism?
Alleles,
is within an organism within a species? Please go ahead.
The alleles are within the organism.
Mute people because you're scared? Are you going to run again? Mute people?
Oh my God! You are the
Powder.
You are so.
Let's try something simple. Let's try something simple.
See, the difference is you're
Powder. Let's try to do something simple here.
What does Schopenhauer say? The world is an imposition of will.
You can't.
This dude literally is his freaking name. Do you know any of these words?
You have no will.
Do you know these words?
You have no will.
This dude. You literally can't control your emotions long enough to hear the response.
And that's why you
asked me a question.
That's why
you asked me a question, and I tried to. I've got to mute him again. You're too emotional. You're too emotional. Right. I tried to answer your question and I literally couldn't because you were screaming at me that I was running from the answer while I'm trying to answer it. You are so fucking frightened of an honest conversation between two people who know what the fuck they're talking about. And you're fucking screaming about alleles. It's pronounced alleles. First, just we'll start there. They're alleles and they're within an organism. And then they are passed on to another organism. The organism itself does not evolve. The definition you just said is alleles within an organism. That doesn't mean the organism is doing the evolutionary change. It means that's where the fucking alleles are. You can't put them anywhere else. They're just in there. It's crazy
one other
to
point
me.
To this definition that's worth noting, we're usually talking about change in allele frequencies, right? You can't have an allele frequency with one individual.
That's exactly. The allele frequency is 100% for all alleles if you're talking about an organism. Another definition of evolution is a change in allele frequencies. You're absolutely right. And that is strictly focusing on neo-Darwinian evolution. And I genuinely can't get past the fact that your reading comprehension, Imperius, is so fucking low that you can read that definition from Stanford or Harvard or whatever the fuck you said, which says the same thing I said in different words and claim that not only is it not what I was talking about, but that it was what you were talking about, which was a completely different thing. So I don't know why. I'm having fun at this point. I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to let you ask me a question. And then I'm going to see if you have the capacity to let me answer the question that you asked. Imperius, you're back on. Give me a question about evolution, and I will try to actually answer it.
The organism? Is the data stored in the organism?
What data?
The data for the allele. The allele. I call it allele. It's the same thing as tomato. You need to have different kinds of verbiage.
What? I don't understand.
Speaking. You need to understand speaking dialects, sir.
Just speaking dialects. Okay, whatever. So the information,
sir, before you go around
the information.
You're racist.
Oh my God! See, this is what I'm talking about.
Your own standards. You can't even hold your own standards.
This is what I haven't answered the question yet. We're still here with you yelling, and you won't.
You make fun of people about linguistics.
I think the answer to the question is the hang up at this point. What's the point?
See, this is what I mean.
You sit there and
this is what I mean. Literally, Imperius, you're on mute again. Literally, you did the thing. Congratulations. You have proven me right. I asked for you to ask a question and let's see if you can let me answer it. And you said, where's the data stored? And immediately you ran the racism and atheist pig and all that. And you are now once again screaming, actually raising your voice alone in your apartment because you got yourself there. I have yet to answer the question and you are screaming again. You are so fucking out of control. Your emotions are so out of control. It's weird. I hope someday you learn to just have some logic and just not be operating just purely on emotion like this. It must be bad. It must be scary to get triggered so easily. Imperius, what's it like to be triggered so easily?
Jury trial, you appeal to emotion.
What's it like to be triggered so easily?
You don't know how to win
what's it like to be triggered so easily?
Sir. Emotions
what's
win
it like
wars.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm a biologist. You dumb fuck. That's why I don't do a jury trial.
You don't make money. Get out of here.
What's it like? What's it like to be? Yes, money is the thing.
Respect your superior.
Do it again. Do it again.
Do what again? Say that you should respect your superior? Very simple.
No, I'm asking you, what's it so like? What does it feel like? What does it feel like to be so guided by emotion? Is it difficult to be triggered so easily? Is it difficult to be triggered so easily? Is it difficult to live your life that way?
Because you're
muted again. Does it feel bad to be muted? I'm going to bring you back. Does it feel bad to be muted? Does it hurt you? Does it make you feel sad?
Yeah. Does it make you feel bad that you're?
Does it feel bad to be? Does it get in you? Does it get at you? Does it tickle you in bad ways? Or do you enjoy the punishment? Maybe that's the thing, because you evaded a ban. You were banned from the show because you were just so emotional and you couldn't control yourself. And now you've made some other ridiculous name to try to call in with. Maybe you just like it. Do you like it? Is the shame? Is it a kink thing?
Yeah,
we don't kink shame here. We're okay with that. Is it just like, is it super upsetting for you to be muted this way, to be treated this way? Do you feel big when you yell at people? That's my question. Imperious, do you feel big when you yell?
On 8? Yeah, I like.
Yeah, you like to yell. See, we got it right there. I think that's it. You like yelling. It makes you feel big because you're a small person with a small mind, and it makes you feel big and powerful to yell at people. Do you think that is like something that we should respect? Like somebody who just thinks that yelling is something that makes them big? Or do you think we should respect like intellect and good arguments?
No, you should respect someone that has.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I think we should respect someone who has a good argument. And that's what you were going to say anyway. That's what you were going to get to, is we should respect somebody who has good arguments and something reasonable to say and doesn't just scream and cry and beg and cheat and all these weird things that you do whenever you don't get your way. Do you think that we should argue with people who behave like children, Imperious? Do you think that if someone's going to call in and they just can't control their own emotions and they just keep screaming and yelling and can't even let somebody answer a question, that we should give them too much more airtime? Do you think that's a reasonable thing for us to do?
We should argue with people that kill.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, again, you can't even answer a question. It's just over and over. How long do you scream in your normal days? Is it only here when you call us that you start screaming, or is it like something you do at home? Do you do it to your family? Do you do it to your friends? Are you as abusive to them as you are to us?
Yeah, only women get mad at.
Is your mom proud of you for the kind of person that you've turned into? Are your parents proud that this is what you've done with your life, that you pretend to be a lawyer online so that you can scream at people and call them names? Is this what you wanted to be? Is this what they wanted for you, is really the question.
Is your mom proud that you killed?
Can you define what an ad hominem fallacy is? That's a question also. Can you define what an ad hominem fallacy is? Because a lot of people can't. I think that a lot of times people think that insulting somebody is ad hominem. And I don't think that's, a reasonable way to say it. So I was curious if you can define ad hominem, or will you do as poor of a job at defining that as you defining evolution?
Oh, you mean everything you said?
Who is your favorite author?
Make it hurt your feelings.
It just keeps going. I have a question. I have another question. If you were halfway serious about taking yourself seriously, I know that's kind of weird cyclical, but like if you took yourself seriously, would you still be here being muted again and again like this, saying dumb shit, screaming into the void, behaving like a petulant child? Is that a thing that someone with self-respect and self-worth would be doing?
I'm getting.
Imperious, I hope someday that literally anybody takes you as seriously as you take yourself. Just because, like, I don't. And I don't think anybody in the chat does. But I feel like you need it. I feel like you need that hug deep down inside. I also hope someday that you learn to read. Here's a real fact for you, Imperious. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up really quick so we're all on the same page. These are literacy statistics from the National Literacy Institute here. Illiteracy is a major problem in the United States. I see you're calling from the USA. 21% of adults in the United States are illiterate. Did you know that? That's an actual real statistic. 21% of adults and 54% of adults have a literacy level below 6th grade. And so those are the types of people that would like read the definition of evolution and then immediately say that it's actually something entirely different. This is why education is important, Imperious. If we all get together and we work really hard and we try to restructure our society, then we might be able to improve the education system to a point where people can learn to read effectively and that they aren't left out in the cold pretending to be lawyers on the internet and pretending to know what evolution is. That's what I think. You know what I mean? I believe in a better future for us. Anyway, Imperious, this is quickly becoming boring for me now. It was funny for a minute, and now it kind of isn't. Aaron, are you good to move on? Do you have any other questions?
I've seen this fish flopping. I've seen this fish flopping on the deck for a while. Just throw it back. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, it's kind of over. Although I will say, Imperious, if you are the most useless, whiny bitch in the universe, then you will walk away from this call claiming that you won because we were too scared to have a conversation with you. So don't do that, because that would just make you ridiculously predictable and sad. And I don't want that for you, buddy. I want you to be better. I want you to look back at this call and be like, you know what? Maybe if I had stopped screaming for 5 seconds, I might have heard the words of people who study the things that I think aren't real. And maybe I should be better. Maybe I should grow as a person. Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, have fun being racist and anti-Semitic and weird somewhere else. Bye. Man, what a fun guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm pretty sure I'd rather talk to a mushroom. That's an actual fun guy.
It's fun. It's just a silly time with somebody who doesn't know how to control their emotions. And like, honestly, I don't want to shame anybody for having low emotional maturity, but gosh, when you're going to just put your entire ass all over the internet, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun.
Hey there, everyone. We want you to check out our live shows 6 days a week, 6 shows a week, 5 days a week, 6 shows. And also there are other channels coming. And this part is meaningless, but you could support this channel by watching the live shows, by checking out another episode. Tell the algorithm you want to stay here. You're not going to go off to some video of some super rich guy committing war crimes. You're going to stick around here and maybe you'll leave a comment, or what else could they do, Eve?
They could head over to patreon.com/calltheline, right? Am I looking?
That's another thing. And they can like,
yeah.
And they could subscribe. No, you got it right. I got it wrong the first time.
And they could also comment. Yeah.